It was a day that many people will remember. The date was September 12th, 2023. The place was very important. It was the Mexican Congress in Mexico City. This is where lawmakers meet. But on this day, something very unusual happened. It was not about new laws or politics in the usual way. It was about something from the unknown. A man named Jaime Maussan stood before the Congress. He is a journalist. He is also very well known in Mexico. For many years he has talked about UFOs. He brought something with him to the Congress. He wanted to show it to the lawmakers. He wanted to show it to the world. Mr. Maussan did not bring documents or photos alone. He brought 2 small boxes with figures that looked like tiny bodies. The 2 bodies that Mr. Maussan showed were very small. They were much smaller than adult humans. Their skin was a grayish color. It also looked very dry, like old paper. The bodies were presented in display cases. This allowed people to see them, but they could not touch them. The sight was quite strange. Many people had never seen anything like them before. They did not look like any known animal. One of the most striking things was their heads. The heads were quite large for their small bodies. They were also elongated. Their faces had small features. The overall shape was humanoid, but the details were not human. Jaime Maussan made some very big claims about these mummies. He spoke with great confidence in front of the Mexican Congress. He told the lawmakers that these beings were non-human. He said they were not part of our terrestrial evolution. This means he believed they did not develop on Earth. He was saying that these were visitors from somewhere else. He also talked about how old the bodies were. He said that scientists from a university had tested them. This university was the National Autonomous University of Mexico, known as UNAM. The test showed that the bodies were about 1,000 years old. Some reports even suggested one was 700 years old and another 1,800 years old. This meant they were from a long time ago. Mr. Maussan said they were not just old, they were alien. He said they took X-rays and CT scans of the bodies. These scans, he claimed, showed that the bodies had skeletons inside. He even claimed that one of the bodies appeared to have eggs inside it. This suggested that these beings could reproduce. Another important claim was about their DNA. Mr. Maussan said that scientists had studied the DNA from these bodies. He stated that more than 30% of their DNA was unknown. This was his scientific argument for them being extraterrestrial. When news of the mummies spread, scientists around the world started to pay attention. Many were very skeptical from the beginning. Skepticism means they had doubts. They wanted to see more proof. They wanted to study the bodies themselves. Science works by testing ideas. It needs strong evidence. The claims made by Mr. Maussan were very big, so they needed very strong evidence to support them. Many experts felt this was missing. Several scientists and archaeologists had a different idea. They thought the bodies might be fakes. They suggested the mummies could be anatomical composites. This means they might have been made from different parts. For example, someone could have taken human bones, or they might have used animal bones. Then, these parts could have been put together. They could have been changed to look like aliens. Sadly, making fake artifacts has happened before. Experts in Peruvian archaeology also spoke up. They said that similar mummies had been seen before. These earlier finds had been debunked. They were not real alien bodies. They were constructions. This history made scientists cautious. Mr. Maussan mentioned a famous university in his presentation. He said the National Autonomous University of Mexico, or UNAM, helped study the bodies. This made his claims sound more credible. UNAM is a very respected university. If its scientists backed his claims, it would be important. Mr. Maussan specifically said UNAM did carbon-14 dating on the specimens. This is a test to find out how old something is. This part was true. The carbon-14 dating results from UNAM showed the mummies were old. The tests indicated an age of around 1,000 years. This confirmed that the material of the bodies was ancient. It was not something made recently. This was an important piece of information. It showed that the bodies, or at least the materials they were made of, had been around for many centuries. This fact was not disputed by the university. They did perform these tests. However, UNAM soon made an important public statement. They wanted to clarify their role. The university said that their researchers indeed performed the carbon dating, but that was all they did related to these specific claims. Check one, check. Jaime Maussan has been talking about UFOs and aliens for a long time. He is a well-known figure in Mexico and in UFO circles worldwide. He has hosted television shows about these topics. He has also presented many supposed pieces of evidence over the years. Because of this long history, many people know his name. Some see him as a brave truth-teller. Others see him as someone who promotes sensational stories without enough proof. This was not the first time Mr. Maussan presented alien mummies. In 2015, he was involved in promoting another similar find. This was also a small mummified body. It was also said to be from Peru. It also had features that looked non-human. That event also caused a lot of excitement. People wondered if it was real proof of alien life. Mr. Maussan presented it as strong evidence. However, that 2015 alien mummy was later studied more closely by other scientists. Their conclusions were very different. They found that the mummy was actually the remains of a human child. The child's skull was elongated, but this was likely due to something called cultural cranial deformation. This past experience made many people skeptical about the 2023 mummies. Critics pointed to a pattern. The presentation of the mummies in Mexico caused concern in another country. That country was Peru. This is where Mr. Maussan said the mummies were found. The Peruvian government was not happy about this. Officials in Peru raised questions. They wanted to know how these mummies had left their country. They were concerned that these items might be important historical artifacts. Peru has a very rich ancient history. Peruvian officials, including the Minister of Culture, Leslie Urtiega, spoke about this. She said that these objects might be pre-Hispanic artifacts. Pre-Hispanic means from the time before Spanish people came to South America. These artifacts are protected by Peruvian law. They are part of Peru's national heritage. She questioned how these items, which looked like archaeological remains, were taken out of Peru. It is illegal to take such items without permission. The Peruvian government stated that a criminal complaint had been filed. They wanted to investigate if the mummies were indeed ancient Peruvian artifacts, and if so, how they ended up in Mexico. The display of the Maussan mummies made people think about many important questions. One big question was about ethics. Is it right to show bodies like this in public, especially in a government building, as part of a show? If these were once living beings, whether human or alien, they deserve respect. Many cultures have strong beliefs about how to treat the dead. Showing them like museum exhibits can be seen as disrespectful. If the mummies were actually ancient human remains from Peru, the ethical problems were even clearer. Archaeologists and anthropologists have strict rules. These rules are about how to handle human remains. They must be treated with care and dignity. Using them for a sensational presentation could be seen as very wrong. It could also violate rules about protecting archaeological sites, and it could offend the descendants of the people whose remains they might be. Another concern was about the impact on real scientific research. Some scientists worried that events like this could harm the serious study of UAPs. If people see claims that are later proven false, they might stop believing all UAP research. They might think the whole topic is just a joke or a hoax. This makes it harder for serious scientists to get funding. It also makes it harder for them to be taken seriously when they find real, interesting evidence. The public had very different reactions. The Maussan mummy event in Mexico did not happen in isolation. It occurred at a time of growing interest in UFOs or UAPs around the world. In the United States, for example, there had been important developments. The U.S. Congress held its own hearings about UAPs. High-ranking military officials and intelligence officers shared their experiences. People like David Grush, a former intelligence officer, made claims about secret government programs. This created a lot of discussion. So, when the mummies appeared in Mexico, it became part of this larger global conversation. Some people wondered if there was a connection. Could this be another piece of a bigger puzzle, or was it something designed to confuse people? Some theories suggested that events like Maussan's presentation could be used to discredit the serious UAP investigations happening elsewhere. If the mummies were proven to be a hoax, it might make the whole topic seem less credible. On the other hand, some people thought it might be part of a slow, strange way of revealing information. Perhaps unusual events like this were meant to get people used to the idea of non-human intelligence. NASA, the U.S. space agency, also commented. They did not directly talk about the mummy's origin, but they emphasized the need for science. They said that if such samples exist, they should be shared with scientists everywhere. They should be studied openly and carefully. Ultimately, the Maussan mummies created a global media sensation.